Hello, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful week through the Enchanted Spreads. Now, the Enchanted Spreads are meant to hit in on the harsher points of life through fairy tales and folklore, but if you pay attention, there's definitely guidance you can find along the way. Now, these are the grim stories, so they are a little bit darker, but trust me, the stories are always worth it. Now, this is a story about the wild swans. Again, another wonderful, wonderful story about that sibling love. Now, there was a fairy, and of course, with the fairies, they are tricky ones. There was a fairy, and it came to this girl. She gave her berries, and the girl had received the berries. But of course, when you take from the fae, they want something in return. So what did they take in return? They took her 11 siblings, all of her brothers, and turned them into wild swans. And then the fairy said, if you would like your brothers back, then you will need to have this stinging nettle. Now, nettle brings rashes on you when you hold it, and it makes you have blisters in your hands until they burn. She asked her to crush the nettle with her feet until she had the flax, and then she had to spin and weave it into 11 shirts of mail with long sleeves. Once she has them over the 11 wild swans, the spell will be broken. But if she undertakes this task, she can never speak of it. She can never tell anybody what her journey is to do. Otherwise, if she does, her brothers will remain those wild swans forever. Now, of course, this is an impossible task. Keeping the swans, making the shirts with the nettle, all without hurting herself or dying in the process. This was a difficult, difficult task, and yet the sisters still tried. Day after day and year after year, she worked until she was brittle and ran down. And when she got to the 11th shirt, unfortunately, she did pass away from all the pain and all the bruises and all the blisters that were there. She was so close to her goal. Now, this storytale is one that is very rough, and there is no true happy ending. Instead, it's one that teaches you about how sometimes we can put so much dedication into something that we lose sight of ourselves. She still had a life to live, and she had to, unfortunately, accept that the task that she had was beyond her. But like many of us, we still fight to prove some sort of a point. We still go out of our way until we exhaust or we drain ourselves. All because of what some other light has promised us, this small glimmer of hope. And though there is that dedication, though there is that sibling love in this story, overall it's telling us how sometimes we give ourselves way too much of a task that is impossible of a burden to carry on ourselves. It tells us that a lot of times we have this single-mindedness and we don't think of the bigger picture. Sometimes we want to save the world and we can't even save ourselves. This is a cautionary tale to be mindful of what you are pouring your heart out into. Is it giving you any results back? And if it is not, then you have to learn how to cut those things loose, even if it hurts. It'll be tough. Story's not an easy story. It's hard to say goodbye to something that we love and we've lost. It's hard to say goodbye to something that we see hope and faith in. And it's hard to give up on a task that we feel like at some point we can complete. Sometimes you have to accept help. Sometimes you have to know that that burden isn't yours to carry alone. Sometimes you have to realize that not everything is your fault. See, she was tricked along the way, and a lot of times some of us are too. We have to recognize what we can give into a situation and what we need to hold back. This is a very tough tale, but it is one that speaks so much caution. So if right now you are pouring out so much and you're not seeing the results, it may be time for you to step back, reevaluate, and decide if this is still something worth carrying. I hope you enjoyed this Enchanted spread, and I hope it gave you a little guidance. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. What's the stuff?